And oh god, welcome back everyone to Box Office Report today on the second of June, 2024. So last technical box office of the week, month, year, whatever you want to call it. It's the month going into June, and yes, you can see down here we had new releases, but in terms of like the wide releases, the big tentpole things that'll bring people to the audiences and make money. Nothing came out this week, which means there was both profit to be made from that, and there was loss from that. Garfield takes the number one spot with 14 million, 41.7% drop. Good for it. Number two, If, going back up to the number two spot, 10.8 million, 33.1% drop. Good for it. Mad Max Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, 10.7 million, dropping 59.2%, even with 60 extra screens added. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes made our 8.8 million, dropping another 34.3%. And then Fall Guy rounds out the top five with another 42.9%, or 42.9 million. Garfield taking the number one spot. Between these two, I think I did call this. I thought Furiosa, though, was going to be the number two. I was clearly wrong on that. But Garfield being the number one, it's a family film, it's a kid's film, it's an animated film, love character. This kind of was a no-brainer to me, really, in the long run. That was going to be number one this week, especially with no new releases coming out. And it's doing well. Domestically alone, it's made 51 million. Internationally, 100 million, 700 grand. 152. Based on my math right now, I know it's made on a $60 million budget. While the marketing is a little difficult to deduce at this time, I think it's probably around 40, which would mean the film has to make about 150, which means the film is now in the profit range. It's in the, I think it's called, it's being in the black, I think it's called. I prefer being in the green because green, money, green, go, red, stop, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's in the green, it's in the black, it's in the profit range. Now it's all just money from here out, which is good. I didn't hate the movie. My review, it's up. Like I said, I believe I called it harmlessly benign. It was entertainingly benign. It was not going to make a lasting impression on me. It didn't make a lasting impression on me. Honestly, I've forgotten a lot. I mean, I can remember the movie for what it is. Like, I can remember scenes, the plot points, the emotional stuff. I can remember all that. But if you were to, like, tell me, oh, yeah, what was the name of his dad? Okay, it was Vic. What was the name of the villain? Hey, what was the name of the two henchdogs? I remember the name of the steer was Otto. I do remember that. But yeah, it's not going to be like leave any lasting impression on me besides stuff I can remember. But still, good for it. Sony definitely has needed a win this year. I don't believe they've had much come out this year that has really been beneficial to them. But we'll see. If Paramount ain't having a good year, folks, made another 10 million. It's at $138 million worldwide. The film is made, I believe, on, what was it, 130 or 110? 1 second here. If movie budget, 110. All right, sorry. It's, which one was it? Oh, sorry. It's Fall Guys, the 135. If is 110. If probably, like I said, originally has to hit 270 or 280 just to break even, because you factor in this film probably had about 50 million minimum in marketing, and you're looking at a film that would then have to bare minimum hit 240. This film isn't even 100 million away from that yet. I mean, it's over 100 million. This, I've said my piece on what I think went wrong here. Marketing wasn't great. The 45-day release window killing the theatrical experience. And when you combine that with streaming, that means not only do you have a shorter window of time to see it, people who have the streaming services would show up on will just say, well, it's going to be on streaming in about a month, so I'll just wait then. And if it's not a whole high-profile film, that's going to kill a lot of movies' return box office, or even starting box office. Both and Fall Guy, I think I suffer both from this. And it sucks. Like, someone didn't quite explain all of the opening weekend for either of these movies, but it's, at least for Fall Guy, I can't explain Fall Guy's opening weekend beyond the things I've said in the past at this point. But either way, if it's still not doing it's not doing great, but it could be doing worse. It could be under 100 million. Speaking of films that could be under 100 million, Mad Max Furiosa. Okay, I keep saying Mad Max Furiosa. It's Furiosa, but I'm going to just keep saying Mad Max. Okay, dropped to 10.7 this week. 114 million. It did cross the $100 million mark. Good for it. It is not even it's not anywhere near close to making its budget back on like a $168-ish million budget, and that's averaging it out, I think. Add on 100 million to box office, you're looking at a film that probably has to hit 400 some odd million to break even. Like, I get it, there was a lot of practical effects, but this film did not need to be $168 million. Hemsworth, as popular as he is, and Anya Taylor-Joy, as popular as she is, do not carry that big a price tag. They just do not. Now, I get a lot of it's practical, and I think a lot of maybe of that went in there, but as good of a filmmaker as George Miller is, and he is a great filmmaker. I love Fury Road, and I really love Furiosa, or really enjoy Furiosa anyway. I had a really good time with both of those movies, and I think they're very good, very well made films. You gotta know how to work in a lesser budget. You really got to learn how to work with less. It's like Scorsese asking for 100 and some odd million dollars for Killers of the Flower Moon. It's like, dude, what do you think is going to happen? Yes, you did make an Oscar-nominated film. You did. But you didn't make it. Like, there's a reason the studios aren't going to really be taking risks a lot of time like that, because you're not drawing them in profit. Maybe you're drawing prestige, but you're not drawing in money. And this is just another example, along with If and Fall Guy, of films that, quite frankly, were made on too much money. Now, granted, they still would not have been making money at this point. If had been made on, say, more like 80 million, which honestly it looks closer to an $80 million budget, if I'm going to be honest. Then you factor in, say, about 50 in marketing. You're looking at a film made on 130, which would, in essence, have to make about 200 million to break even. It still wouldn't be anywhere near close to breaking even at that point. If Fall Guy had also been made on closer to, like, say, 100 million or like 90 million or something like that, it also still would not be close to breaking even, although it's made a bit more money this week now. Furiosa is the same way. Furiosa is going to lose so much money. I actually, like, Warner Brothers has had a great year so far. They have had Dune 2 and Godzilla and Kong. Great film. Wonderful film. I mean, Dune is a fantastic film. Godzilla and Kong is goofy and stupid, but a lot of fun. But at the same time, they still made a lot of money. And you want to know a thing about Godzilla and Kong? Least amount of money for a MonsterVerse film. So you know what? Don't tell me you can't make it on less money. But they've been having a good year so far. This is going to put a big stop on that momentum they had as a studio this year. Now, they're going to get it back later on. They got plenty of other films coming out this year. But, I mean, Beetlejuice and Joker alone are probably going to be able to make up any loss this has. But the fact is, this is going to be a major loss. And let's not gloss over the fact that it took a near 60% drop. So, seeing as we're here to talk about these things and why it happened, the health of the box office, all of that, what do I think went wrong here? Well, first off, its opening weekend was trash. 26 million, that's a low opening weekend even for the damn series. And I think it's just because a lot of the factors I've played a factor for this film are, it is a prequel to a 9-year-old movie that wasn't even a big blockbuster success. It was successful. It made money, but it made less than $400 million. So you got a film that is a prequel to a film that wasn't even a huge success. Critically acclaimed, great, but not a huge box office success. So you're already getting a niche audience who want to continue to see Mad Max stuff. Then you're getting a prequel, which I still think that there is a stigma. I think prequels are not a good way to go. Wonka was an exception to the rule. But other than that, I can't think of a prequel, say, since the pandemic started up again, that overly did well. Now, granted, I can't think of many prequels off the top of my head right now anyway. Right, but I can't think of many prequels. Sorry, that's on my teeth. At the moment, that did very well. there are prequels that did do well, like the Hobbit films are prequels and they do well, and even the Fantastic Beasts films did well to start with, but then kind of tapered out. And that's another example. And hell, if I can think of like a couple right off the top of my head, Wonka did fine. Wonka did great, but you got the first Omen. No one cared. No one cares about the Omen to begin with, I think. Dead franchise. Even something as big as Hunger Games barely broke even. It made like $300 and some odd million. It barely broke even. So I think prequels are a big problem here. People don't care about what happened before usually. Exceptions can be made. But they want to see what the story continues on with and goes forward. So I think that was a big factor. So you already got a niche audience and a niche audience. R-rated again, such another niche audience. So niches and niches and niches. But then you make a movie where it certainly has a bit of epicness to it, no doubt. But I'll be honest, like, there's very few movies so far I've seen twice, like gone back to the movies. I'm trying to think of the last time I went back to the movies to watch something a second time. Honestly, no joke. I think it was either the Marvels, and that was because I went with a friend and I took my girlfriend later on, or it was Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think that was the most recent one, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, to be honest, to be precise, because that was the most recent one where I literally just went to go watch the movie again on my own. Very rarely do I go to watch a movie a second time on my own or with someone else or something like that. And it has to take either a special movie or just a movie I just want to share or have an experience with. And then I remember seeing Puss in Boots like 3 times in the theaters, though. I loved Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So, yeah, this is not going to be a good road for Furiosa, unfortunately. Now, speaking of movies that are having a better time than Furiosa, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes made $8.8 million, 33.3% drop. Its worldwide total right now is $337 million. That's unfortunate, because unless there's going to be a couple more bumps internationally, that means now we're kind of in the fumes, if you will, the end game of Kingdom's run. Because last week it was at 307-ish, 303 million after the Memorial Day weekend, which means it really only made about 20 million this week. And it needs to hit closer to around, again, I have to know what the actual budget is. I'm guessing it's at least 100 million though. If I'm looking, now let me put it this way. If it turns out that the budget is only like 75 million marketing budget, that means you're looking at a film that's actually only made on 235, which then you're looking at a film that only has to hit about 360 to break even. So the film could still do that, but if it is what I think it is, at least 100 million, that means you're looking at a film that has a bit more like 390, 400, and yeah. And I think Kingdom's a good movie. I will actually say this: Kingdom's a better movie than Furiosa. I do think that. The characters are compelling in both movies, and the action is far better in Furiosa, but the pacing is weird in Furiosa. It doesn't, frankly, need to be as long as it did. Whereas I am engaged about where the story's going to go with Kingdom. Kingdom's another one of those films where it's cooler. Kingdom's in that weird zone, the forbidden zone, if you will, where it is simultaneously a sequel and a prequel all at once. I can't think of any movies that are like that. Assuming you're not going into assuming you're not doing it well, technically, The Hobbit Part 2 and 3 are sequels and prequels. You know exactly what I mean. But, yeah, technically. We'll have to see what happens here. Unfortunately, now with June coming, and we're getting things like Bad Boys, The Watchers, Inside Out 2, among others coming out this month. Now, it's weird. May was supposed to be the kickoff for the summer movie season, and it kind of was, but it was kind of a bit of a dud. June, however, for everything I'm hearing about the tracking for Bad Boys, for Inside Out 2, this sounds like this is going to be this and July are going to be the 2 big movie months this year. These are 2, because you're also going to get Despicable Me 4 in July, along with Deadpool, Wolverine, even Twisters. I don't know what's tracking for, but it's going to probably be tracking for something big, or at least decent. we'll have to wait and see. Kingdom, though, we'll have to keep an eye on Kingdom and see if it can at least make its money back, or at least break even. Disney also isn't having the best year this year either right now, but frankly, they haven't released much this year, so take that for what it's worth. Then there's The Fall Guy, which 4.2 million. Now it made 100. It's up to 157.8, so 158. So that's not bad. Problem is, it's a $135 million budget. I'm guessing. I think I said it when we first started out talking about Fall Guy. I think it needs to make like 300 million roughly to break even. There's no way in hell it's doing that. You know what's really interesting? This feels to me like a Dungeons Dragons Honor Among Thieves situation. The film's way better than it looks. It's a real good time. Everyone who sees it has a great time. Most people, the majority of us have a good time. It's got good reviews. It's all around. It's a triple knockout win, except at the box office. And again, I refer you to what I said with If. Shortened release window. Streaming exists. You combine those together with people who have the streaming services would show up on, and they just say, I don't need to go to the movies for this. I also don't think it was marketed the best. I mean, it was a fun trailer, don't get me wrong, but I'm not sure if it was marketed. The appeal was, I don't know if the appeal was there, unfortunately, which sucks. It is a fantastic, wonderful movie. I loved it. Had a good time. Then you got Strangers Chapter 1, which dropped 35. Again, it helps when there's no new releases out. The Watchers is going to basically put a giant foot on their throat there this week. 32 million. It broke even. Now it's making money at this point. Like I said, I think it's made like $8 some odd million. You factor in about 10 million for marketing at best. Is what I would guess. And maybe 15. And you got a movie that's either about to break even or has broken even. That's what you get. Then you got a bunch of the small new releases. Haiku, the dumpster battle. Haiku, dumpster battle. My heart, she paints. I can't remember. I think it's like 17 syllables in Haiku, but there's like one line has a certain amount of syllables, the other line has the next, and the other has another. Okay, but I can't remember that. Hey, look, you made 80 million worldwide. Good for it. In a Violent Nature, I've heard about this. When a lock is removed from a classifier in the woods, that entombs the rotting corpse of Johnny, a vengeful spirit spurred by a horrific 60-year-old crime. His body is resurrected and becomes hell-bent on retrieving it. The thing about this, I at least like the concept. The concept of something, because it's basically a POV be following the supernatural killer around and kind of what he's doing when he's not killing. Like, obviously he's attacking people, and then what he's doing when he's not attacking people. He's kind of like wandering around. Now, I have heard it's kind of a dull film. Like, it's just him doing things until, you get to the kills. So, I don't know. Ezra. What is Ezra? A comedian, Max, co-parents autistic son Ezra with ex-wife Jenny. Based on crucial decisions, Ezra father, Max, and Ezra go on a life-changing cross-country. I've seen this trailer before. Oh, yeah, I've seen trailer of this. It was a cute-looking film, honestly. Yeah, I actually kind of dug the film a little bit, at least the trailer. It had a nice warm feeling to it. Then you have Sight, which came out last week, 5.8 million, which is probably honestly more than most of us thought it would make. I actually saw there was a showing for it at my theater. Summer Camp debuts with a little over $1 million. Follows Nora, Ginny, Mary, 3 childhood best friends who used to spend every summer at sleepaway camp together. But after years, when the opportunity to get back together for a summer camp reunion presents itself, they seize it. It's a comedy. Anyway, I digress. Wait a minute. Hold on. Is that like... Are these the same people who are doing what... Yeah, give me a toss. Who do like that book club movie crap? Diane Keaton, yeah, Kathy, not Maggie, but yeah, it looks like because the minute I think I saw Diane Keaton, I'm like, oh god, like, can we that book club? Whatever, not my taste. Kind of like that 80 for Brady, not my thing. Then we got Babes, which I think debuted 2 weeks ago, which barely anything. Apparently, it's I can't remember what it is, girls' night or something like that for. Pregnant, I can't remember exactly. I know they're pregnant in the movie. Then Tarot actually went on to make about $42 million. So Tarot went on to make a decent amount. And that actually did make some money. And now everything else is pretty much just done. You notice who's not in this lineup, though, folks? Godzilla and Kong. It's finally been pulled. And you know what pisses me off about that? Can you see that number, folks? Let me get that number a little bigger if I can. $567.1 million. Now, what have we been talking about for the last 2 months about this film? What is the highest grossing MonsterVerse film? Kong Skull Island. And what did it make? $568.8 million. You SOBs cut it off right before it was about to get there. Maybe there's still some international markets playing it, and maybe that will bump it over. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that kind of really chafed me. I'm like, oh no! It's like, come on, you were that close. Regardless, what are you gonna do? All right, so the ballerina is not coming out, by the way. So yeah, we can just skip the ballerina. That's not coming out. But coming out this week, we have The Watchers, the new. It's actually, I think, is that the one M. Night's doing, or is it Trap? One of them is his daughter. 1 second. Title. Let's see here. Oh, cast crew. Who's the director? It's A.M. Ishana Shyamalan. Okay, that's it. So it's his daughter doing this one. He's doing Trap later on in the year. So a young girl stranded in an extensive immaculate forest in Western Ireland, where after finding shelter, she becomes trapped alongside 3 strangers stalked by mysterious creatures each night. Ireland, my guess is they're Fae. Moving on, because that's going to be the mystery. What are the creatures? My guess is they're Fae, because it's Ireland, Fae. But maybe there's something different. Maybe they're aliens. Who knows? But yeah, we got The Watchers and Bad Boys Ride or Die. Now look, how good Bad Boys Ride or Die does is going to really hinge on how many people have forgiven Will Smith for the slap incident. Right now, it's tracking for between 50 and like 75 million-ish. Even if you lowball and say it comes under and like makes 45, it still makes over, I'm gonna guess, 5 times as much as Garfield, which was the highest this week, is gonna make next week. So yeah, Bad Boys Ride or Die is gonna be number 1 next week. Then The Watchers, it's just the other new release horror film. The trailers have been pretty solid too. So there's your first 2 right there. After that, I think it's definitely going to be Garfield, animated film. It's still going to be good counter programming for what's out there. If is lower, and even though it's taken smaller drops, it's the ratio between Garfield and If is still huge in terms of how much money they've actually made. So yeah, Garfield will be number 3. Will probably be number 4. Let me see what the drops are looking like right now. If dropped 33. Apes dropped number 30. Yeah, If would be number 4. And then Furiosa. Actually, I don't even. I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure Furiosa is going to be in the top 5 next week. Because Bad Boys is going to be a direct competitor to this for the action. And it's closer to something like Fall Guys, so action comedy. So it's going to have a wider appeal despite being R. I don't see it taking like, say, 60 next week. But still in the 50s, that's possible, which means this would be in the 5-ish millions. If we're assuming Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes still stays in the 30s. Let's see, 1, 2, 2, 3, that's what? 6-ish, or 4 point some odd million, it would drop down. No, it can't be right. 8.8, 2. And then you add that on. Oh wow, it would be almost be 4. That's weird. No, that can't be right. 4. Yeah, because half of that's 50. Why am I getting my math wrong on it? Where am I getting my math wrong on this? That's the question. Because it's going to be. Oh, I know where I'm getting my math wrong on this. Okay, I think I remember now. I know what I'm doing wrong here in my head. Because I'm doing something very different in my head where yeah. So anyway, so yeah, if it drops another 30, that means you're looking at a film probably making about 5-ish million next week. Oh, so it'd be a tough contender for You know what? I'll go with what my gut's saying. I'll still go Furiosa next week because of all the competition going on. So, Bad Boys Ride or Die, The Watchers, Garfield, If, Furiosa. I'm not 100% confident in those last two. I think it's going to be between Kingdom and Furiosa. But we'll have to wait and see. Until then, though, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Do it at some point, hopefully. And if you have any ideas for videos, let me know. Maybe I'll do them, maybe I won't. I mean, I already do so many things on the channel. Till then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.